The kid who only wanted the ball. I wasn't born in Los Angeles or New York or Chicago. I was born in Philadelphia in 1978, but my story begins far from there, in Italy. My father, Joe Bryant, played basketball professionally there, and I grew up between gymnasiums and soccer fields. I learned to dribble a ball before I could even spell my name. I spoke Italian before English. It was in Reggio Emilia that I fell in love with basketball. I would spend hours watching VHS tapes of Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. My idols weren't cartoon characters. They were warriors, artists, legends. When I returned to the United States at age 13, I felt like a foreigner in my own country. I had an accent. I didn't know the slang. I didn't fit in, but there was one place where language didn't matter: the court. There, I let my game do the talking. At 17, I made a decision that changed my life forever. I skipped college and declared for the NBA draft. People said I was too young, too skinny, too arrogant, but they didn't understand something simple. I didn't just want to play. I wanted to be the best. The day I met fear and ignored it. In 1996, I was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets and traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. I was 17. I couldn't even sign my own contract without my parents. My first years in the NBA were intense. I was the kid, the youngest on the court, surrounded by giants and legends, but I wasn't there to be invisible. In my second season, I was selected for the All-Star game, a bench player in the league, but already competing with the elite. I faced Michael Jordan head-on, my idol, my mirror, my measure, but then came the playoffs. May 12, 1997, Game 5 against the Utah Jazz. The game went into overtime. I took for consecutive shots. All air balls for air balls. In front of the world, some thought I was humiliated. I thought I had discovered something powerful. I wasn't afraid to shoot. I wasn't afraid to fail. That night, I didn't go home to cry. I went to the gym. And that's when the legend began to form, not in victory, but in defeat. 3 rings, 1 invisible war. Between 2000 and 2002, we won 3 straight championships with the Lakers. A dynasty was born. Shaq and I dominated the league, him in the paint, me on the perimeter. But off the court, it was a different story. Have you ever tried sharing a throne? Shaq was charisma, brute force, and parties. I was discipline, silence, and obsession. Our styles clashed. He said I worked too hard. I thought he didn't take it seriously enough. We won together but lived apart. The media fueled the rivalry, but they didn't make it up. The fights were real, and the locker room was a cold war. I wanted to be the best in the world, and that meant better than everyone, including him. Despite the friction, we kept our focus on the court. 3 titles, 3 years of dominance, but the tension was unsustainable. In 2004, after losing the finals to the Detroit Pistons, Shaq was traded. The empire had crumbled. Now, I was the only king in Los Angeles, but being a lonely king has a price. And the weight of the crown was something I would soon feel. The bottom is silent. With Shaq gone, the stage was finally mine. But what seemed like the start of my reign turned into a storm. In 2004, my personal life exploded in the headlines. I was accused of sexual assault by a hotel employee in Colorado. It was one of the hardest times of my career and my life. The case never went to trial, but the damage was done. My sponsors abandoned me. The media vilified me. My public image collapsed. What did I do? I stayed quiet, and I played basketball. On the court, I became even more ferocious. It was like every point was a response, but the team was in ruins. We lost games, changed coaches, shuffled players. And while everything crumbled around me, I kept training as if the world weren't falling apart. That's when Black Mamba was born, a persona, an emotional armor. A way to separate the man from the competitive monster I needed to be to keep standing. I knew redemption wouldn't come with words. It had to come with actions, with wins, with championships. And that would take more than talent, it would take transformation. 81 points and a new identity. On January 22, 2006, I made history. Los Angeles Lakers versus Toronto Raptors. I was on fire. Basket after basket, play after play. I ended the game with 81 points, the second highest scoring game in NBA history, behind only Wilt Chamberlain's 100 points, but that wasn't just a record. It was a statement. The Mamba was alive. That performance marked the start of a new era. Without Shaq, without other stars, dealing with pressure inside and outside the court, and still delivering historic performances. From 2005 to 2007, I lived my loneliest years, but also my most intense. I carried the team on my back, won games almost alone. And little by little, the critics who once called me arrogant began to call me a legend. But I knew scoring wasn't enough. True respect would only come with more titles. And in 2008, something started to change. The arrival of Pau Gasol was the missing piece. The Mamba was no longer alone, and the hunt for more rings was officially back on. Golden redemption. With Pau Gasol by my side, we returned to the NBA Finals in 2008, but we lost to the Boston Celtics. That defeat burned inside me. They said I couldn't win without Shaq. They said I wasn't a true leader, so I silenced the world again. In 2009, we defeated the Orlando Magic. I was Finals MVP. In 2010, we faced the Celtics again, 7 brutal, ugly, physical games. In the decisive game, I missed many shots, but I grabbed 15 rebounds. With grit and determination, we secured the 5th title. There, I completed the circle, from the doubted kid to the confirmed leader. Off the court, my image also evolved. I had become a more mature, more open figure. I started writing, producing, dreaming of life after basketball. In 2012, an Achilles injury nearly ended it all. But I returned, not as the same athlete, but as someone who had given everything. I knew the end was near, and I wanted my farewell to match my obsession. The 60-point goodbye, April 13, 2016. My last NBA game, Lakers versus Jazz, Staples Center packed. Family in the crowd, Hollywood stars, old rivals. Everyone there, waiting for my finale. But I didn't plan to say goodbye with just a wave. At 37, with a body worn down by 2 decades of battles, I stepped on the court as if it were the first time. I scored 60 points. 60, the highest scoring game of the season. In my farewell, in the final interview, I looked at the mic and said, "Mamba out, but the truth. I wasn't leaving, I was just changing arenas." I began writing books, producing short films, won an Oscar. I supported women in sports, especially my daughter Gianna. I coached her. I saw her as the heir to my legacy. Then the unexpected happened. On January 26, 2020, a helicopter crash took my life, my daughter's, and 7 others. Death came suddenly, but life was intense, complete, real. If there's one thing I learned, it's this. Heroes come and go, but legends are forever, and me, I was Kobe Bryant. And if this story moved you, just imagine how many more we're going to uncover here. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss a single journey told by the very ones who lived it from beginning to end.